Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? You got the King of Games 98 here, and well, this is a video game system review video I've been wanting to do for a really long time now. And you know what? I figured right now, today, was the best time to make this video because of, number one, it's getting a mini classic edition console of it made, and number two, it is celebrating its 30th anniversary. It is the TurboGrafx-16. Okay guys, so for those of you who have never heard of NEC's TurboGrafx-16 or the Turbo Duo, or, for that matter, the TurboGrafx Express, well, you're in luck, because today's video is going to be the TurboGrafx-16 review video, and I'm going to show you my current TurboGrafx-16 game collection for my console. But unfortunately, I'm going to give you you a heads up right now. I do not own many TurboGrafx-16 games for my TG16. And with that being said, just don't expect a lot, I guess is all I was getting at there. Okay, so the TurboGrafx-16 came out in 1989. And what was significant about coming out in 1989? Oh, I don't know. Maybe other than that Sega released the Model 1 Sega Genesis also in 1989. So right off the bat, two companies already made two different 16-bit home video game systems, while Nintendo was, of course Nintendo was still a thing, but Nintendo was still rocking it with the NES, which was only 8-bit. So, at the time, this and the Sega Genesis were really the superior consoles, but as opposed to Nintendo's NES being only an 8-bit video game system. So, the TurboGrafx-16 came out in 1989. It rivaled, of course, Sega's Genesis, and then would later rival Nintendo's Super Nintendo video game system. And then I guess you can also throw in for good measure that this also rivaled against Panasonic's 3DO console. And I guess for that matter, you can even mention that it rivaled against Philips' CDI. But we're not really going to talk about that. So really, in the early to mid 90s, there was really a lot of different, there was really a lot of different brands of video game systems you could choose from, really. And a lot of different companies were making their own video game systems, at that time, and it was very experimental. Because, you didn't really know if it was going to be really good or just crap. So, if you've never heard of the TurboGrafx-16, well, there's a reason why. And that reason is this. The TurboGrafx essentially lasted from 1989 till 1995. Yeah. A really short console lifespan and a really short, console run and game run. As I'm sure you guys can imagine. So with that being said, I'm sure you guys can understand how rare and obscure of a console this is, let alone games for this, let alone the other two let alone the other two turbo consoles. You know, they're rare. They are really a rare bird, if you will, in the video game console collecting. And well, it's really a rare bird of a video game. It's really a rare bird of a video game console. Yeah. So, I guess I'll school you a little bit, since I'm getting in, you know, the backstory and history of the TurboGrafx-16. So real quick, in the US, there was only 3 total excuse me. Let's try that again. In the US, there was only 3 total TurboGrafx brand video game systems that were made. The first, of course, the TurboGrafx-16. This is it, the base model. The second is the Turbo Duo, which is easily the best of the 3 TurboGrafx models, because the Turbo Duo is 2 systems in one. And what I mean by that is, not only does it play regular TurboGrafx-16 hue cards, but it also has the capability and CD disk drive of playing TurboGrafx CD games. So really, the Turbo Duo is without a doubt the best TurboGrafx console you could buy and that money could buy. And the third and final TurboGrafx console was called the TurboGrafx Express, which essentially was a handheld TurboGrafx-16 that could play TurboGrafx-16 hue card games, and basically on the go. So that was the nice thing about that. Okay, guys, sorry for the wait. I'm back now. Thanks for waiting. Where was I? Oh, yes. So there were only 3 different TurboGrafx brand video game systems released in the US, as I just stated. The first, obviously, is the TurboGrafx-16. And then the second was the Turbo Duo, hands down the best TurboGrafx system. And the third and final system was the TurboGrafx-16 Express, essentially a handheld TurboGrafx-16. And that was it. After that, you never heard of TurboGrafx again, ever again in the US. It was just basically done. Now, what's weird is in Japan, the TurboGrafx-16 did surprisingly very well in the Japanese video game console market. And in Japan, the TurboGrafx-16 was called the PC Engine. Yes, I'm not making that up. No, I'm not making that up. In Japan, the TurboGrafx-16 was called the PC Engine. Very odd name for a home video game console, but hey, you know what? It still is cool and unique, I think, to this day. And yeah, NEC in Japan, when they released the PC Engine, it did actually very well for its time, and in the Japanese video game console market, it did really well. And when I say it did really well, I mean, I want to say there's either about or close to 10 different iterations of the PC Engine console that were made, but only in Japan. Yes, crazy, right? So many more different models and variants of one console were made in Japan, but yet in the US, we only got 3. What the hell? You know what? I don't really have the answer as to that, and or know the rhyme or reason for that, but you know what? That's just how it happened. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that the TurboGrafx-16 wasn't more popular than it was when it first came out, because I gotta be honest with you guys, it's a great freaking system. Seriously, it is a great oddball, obscure 90s console that has some damn good games on it. My God. I mean, like, seriously, there is a number of great games that were made on the TurboGrafx-16. There were exclusive and only on TurboGrafx-16. Plus, this console got some great home console arcade ports of games on this system. Really good, got some really good arcade ports of great games. But yeah, so I guess without further ado, I'll kind of do a little I'll show you the console more, the controller, the cords, and I'll show you the couple of TurboGrafx-16 games I own for my TurboGrafx-16. So this is the console. This is the on-off switch. This is the one and only controller port on the console. That was a very bad design flaw. This is the Hue card reader. Okay, so now we're going around the back. TurboGrafx-16. On this side, we have the RF output. And on right next to it, we have the RF channel selector switch, which is just channels 3 and 4. And then, believe it or not, guys, this is actually a dust cover. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that coming. And then we have right here is the AC adapter output. And then on the back, we have all of these connector pins. Like, what was that for? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what this back expansion port was made for, guys. Believe it or not, when NEC came out with the TurboGrafx-16, they made a CD-based add-on for this console called none other than the TurboGrafx CD. And I gotta tell you guys, for its time, it was a very advanced CD-based add-on for a video game console at that time of the 90s. You know, I would probably go the length to compare it to Sega's Sega CD, which was the CD-based add-on for the Sega Genesis models 1 and 2. Yeah, I went there. I would probably describe it, well, I would probably compare it to that. Oh, yeah. You know, unfortunately, I do not own the TurboGrafx CD add-on because it is way too expensive and really way too much than I would spend on a CD-based add-on. And so, yeah, I do not own that. Oh, this is the back of the console. Yeah, you can see it. It says right there, EXP bus, expansion bus. And then right there it has the DC voltage rating for the AC cable. Yeah, okay, so this is a TurboGrafx-16 console. Gonna put the dust cover back on. Literally just slides back on. I think it looks a lot better with the back dust cover on than not, honestly. Okay, so that's that. And then here is what the TurboGrafx-16 controller looked like, which of course was called the Turbo Pad. Yep. TurboGrafx-16 controller Turbo Pad. You had your main D-pad, select, and run buttons. Essentially, the run button is the start button. Then you have your 1 and 2 buttons, A and B. And then there's 2 switches for the 1 and 2 buttons, which I believe are actual turbo speed adjusters for the A and B buttons to speed it up. So I think this is a really cool, unique controller. I think it feels good, gripping it in your hands, honestly. My only complaint about this controller is that the controller cord's length is way too short. Like, I'm not, messing with you guys right now. This is the whole length of the controller's cord. Right there. Yep. I hope this is like as clear as possible that I can make this of how short the controller's cord is, because it is just really freaking short. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen online controller extension cords for the TurboGrafx-16, and really, I need to buy one because these damn controller cords are too freaking short. Like, really, I don't want to be right up against the damn console when I'm trying to play it. I want to freaking have enough length and enough room to sit down on my sofa or on my recliner and kick back and be able to sit comfortably as I play TurboGrafx-16. I don't want to freaking be real close, tight up against it. So, yeah. Minor complaint, so that's my one and only minor complaint about the controller. Other than that, I think it's freaking great. I absolutely love it. There's the back of it, nothing special. Yeah, so that's the TurboGrafx-16 controller. Oh, and let me show you guys real quick what the end looks like on the TurboGrafx-16's controller. Yeah. That is what the end of the TurboGrafx-16 controller looks like. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Weird, huh? It's like I've never seen another video game controller that is that well. Yeah, it's like I've never seen another video game controller's the end of the cord, the plug-in. I've never seen it look so odd like this, But hey, you know what? It was NEC, it was TurboGrafx-16, the console is odd, the controller is odd, so you know what, it's only fair. Okay, so that was the controller, which we are going to leave right there. Okay, so real quick, one thing I forgot to mention, the TurboGrafx-16 console, the original base console, is only coaxial RF out for picture quality. It is only coaxial RF out. It has no AV or composite AV or even component outputs on the console. Nope. Very basic, standard, bottom of the line, or bottom of the barrel. With that being said, though, fun fact, which this is actually how I hook my TurboGrafx-16 up with, this expansion port, yeah, these pins sticking out in it. So NEC made an attachment for the original model TurboGrafx-16, and it is called the Turbo Booster. If you look that up online, I kid you not, that attachment itself sells for at least when I last looked it up, that attachment alone sells for $200. Okay, so needless to say, I'm pretty sure it's easy. You guys can understand why I don't have one. But instead, I found out through buying a modified AV cable, you can attach to certain pins on the back of the expansion port of the console. You can attach to specific pins a modified AV cable, and you can run that cable from the expansion port back of the console to your TV, and it will, and the TurboGrafx-16 will distribute picture in composite AV. And I can tell you guys this because that is what this cable is. This guy right here is a modified TurboGrafx-16 custom-made AV cable. Wow, that was a mouthful. And I'm sure, as you guys can see, well, number one, not only is it a nice long AV cable, which is freaking great, but the ends, well, at least the one end of the cord looks really weird. The other, of course, just has the traditional composite AV red, yellow, and white cable ends, when this has these weird 4 different colored cables and connectors sticking out. And you're probably questioning, why is that? Well, that is because this custom-made TurboGrafx-16 AV cable runs off of the expansion port of the console. It runs off the back of the expansion port of the console, and I specifically have to connect this to 4 specific pins, and I'm freaking good to go, and I get better freaking composite, video and picture quality and sound than shitty freaking coaxial freaking audio, picture, and freaking video. Now, of course, I really wouldn't recommend this. Really, the only reason why I run my TurboGrafx-16 off of this modified AV cable is because, I actually forgot to mention this. So why I run my TurboGrafx-16 off of this custom-made AV cable is because the RF port that's on the console went bad, and the RF port on the console does not work at all. And so this is basically the only reason or method, if you will, I have to hook up this console. But that's okay, because it's got better picture quality, better sound, and, better video. So really, in the long run, it's like, this is really the better way to hook it up. So yeah, so this is the custom-made TurboGrafx-16 AV cable that I have, that I use to hook up and run the console off of to my TV. Really cool and really nifty. I've been told that it's very simple to make these, and people I've seen online have made them themselves. I am not that skilled, and I am not that crafty, I guess. And so I just went right on eBay and I bought one. I think I paid between like 15 and 20 bucks for this, and I don't regret it one day, because it freaking works, and I'm able to use and actually play my TurboGrafx-16. So I love it. Okay, so that's that. Let's put that cover back on. Okay. And really, last but not least, we have the AC cable or power cord, whichever you prefer. And since, it is a 90s era video game system, it's of course, I guess only right for it to have a 90s era video game console brick power supply. Yep, this is the original OEM official NEC. NEC Home Electronics TurboGrafx-16 power supply. It is a big brick that comes out the one end, and this little end adapter plugs into the console, and the other end has the regular outlet plug that just plugs into any old outlet. Yep. Okay, so without further ado, guys, at this point in the console review video, I'm now going to show you my TurboGrafx-16 game collection. And again, I did warn you guys ahead of time, I don't own that many TurboGrafx-16 games. Excuse me, and literally I only own 4. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys my current TurboGrafx-16 game collection that is a whopping 4 games. Okay, so first off, we have Dungeon Explorer for TurboGrafx-16, and in case anyone was wondering, this is what the hell a hue card looks like, and this would just be considered the loose game only. And that's the back, and in case anyone was wondering, yes, it is very thin and flat like a card. So I guess that's where hue card comes from. Yeah. So Dungeon Explorer. How would I explain Dungeon Explorer? Dungeon Explorer is a Zelda clone. Pretty much. Yeah. Dungeon Explorer is a Zelda clone. It plays identically to Zelda. It plays identically to The Legend of Zelda on NES, the very first one. Yeah, that's how I would compare it to. You know how that plays from a top-down view? Well, this plays exactly the same from a top-down view. Yeah, really, I don't know a whole lot more I could say about Dungeon Explorer other than it's a Zelda clone. It's a very fun game, though. Highly recommend it. And I would say it's definitely one of the cult classic TurboGrafx-16 games that you should have if you own a TurboGrafx-16. So that's my first game. And then my second TurboGrafx-16 game is Neotopia. I don't know if I just pronounced that right, and I don't really care. Okay, so Neotopia, believe it or not, is a JRPG. Yep, it is a RPG role-playing game that is it's like in that medieval time setting, like RPG game era. So, you know, your main character is a knight, and I'm pretty sure he has to rescue some queen or princess from somewhere, been kidnapped, something like that. I don't really know a whole lot about this game, and I think I've only played it like once or twice. So, yeah, Neotopia. Okay, my next TurboGrafx-16 game is Victory Run. Haha, man. Let me tell you guys here about Victory Run. Victory Run is a TurboGrafx-16 game clone of Sega's Outrun. No, I'm not making that up. I am dead serious. If you go online and look up gameplay right now on YouTube, you will, and if you see the gameplay of Victory Run and compare it to Outrun, you'll be like, holy shit, this is the same game. Dead serious. This is one of 2 TurboGrafx-16 games that I am fortunately lucky enough to own, complete in box. Yeah, so this is what a TurboGrafx-16 game looks like, complete in box. It is in a regular CD jewel case. The instruction manual's in the front, like how the PS1 games were. And then it has a specific slot cut out for the hue card to sit in perfectly, and it's got this nice plastic little sleeve. And then it's got this little plastic arm that goes on top of it to actually hold it in place. So, yeah, I almost just called it Outrun. So, yeah, Victory Run, very fun game. Have played it already multiple times. If you own a TurboGrafx-16 and you like racing games, highly recommend Victory Run. It's one of few TurboGrafx games. It's one of few TurboGrafx-16 games that is cheap and fun. Definitely pick it up. Okay, And now my fourth and final TurboGrafx-16 game is Keith Courage in Alpha Zones. And especially if you're not a TurboGrafx fan or, you know, have any knowledge of TurboGrafx, you're probably going, what the fuck is this? Well, Keith Courage in Alpha Zones is a side-scrolling platformer that I later on discovered is based off of an anime series. Yes, you heard that right. This was a freaking anime series. Look at all this going on. This was an anime series, okay? That. No, I have never watched the anime series, and I have not done a review of it. But if I get the chance to, and I come across a copy of it, oh boy, guys, you best believe I'm gonna have to buy that just to review it. Now, unfortunately for this TurboGrafx game, I'm missing the plastic sleeve and the arm to hold it in place. But again, this is what it looks like complete in box. Okay, guys, so without further ado, that's going to do it for my TurboGrafx-16 system console review and my game collection. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video as much as I did making it, and I hope you guys learned some stuff from it. And if you ever have the chance to pick up a TurboGrafx-16 console or any of the other consoles and it's cheap, I would highly recommend it. A number of great games for it. Definitely worth it. Check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.